Welcome back, my friends, to the D-Rate the Hate podcast. I am your host, Wilk of WilksWorld.com, and I am so incredibly grateful that you are taking the time to join me for another powerful DTH episode. Friends, at the D-Rate the Hate podcast, it's all about bettering the world one attitude at a time. See, we did not create the hate, but with your help, we can derate the hate. That all starts with gratitude and personal accountability. We cannot control everything that happens to us in life, but we can control how we react to it. How we act, how we react, no matter what happens to us, how we react to it makes the difference. Friends, there is only one good thing about a bad attitude, and that is that we have the ability as individuals to change it. Here on the DTH podcast, we strive to bring you great guests and provide tools to do just that. Please be sure to share it with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Ratings and feedback are always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get to this week's episode. Friends, the power to transform the world in which we live lies within the choices we make when wielding our words. It is imperative that we redefine the way we express ourselves, both in the way that we speak of ourselves and the way we speak of others. Conflicts will arise, but it is essential to recognize that among our disagreements and our disputes, a fundamental truth prevails. We are bound together by our common humanity. We are bound together as one human family. Acknowledging our human connectedness can serve as a compass, guiding us towards reconciliation. Many have thoughts and disagreements on what that reconciliation should look like, or what it is exactly that we're trying to reconcile. But our past does, in fact, have stains. We have to agree on that. We may not all agree, but the conversation must be had. As my guest this week, Starlette Thomas, says, we're going to fuss and fight, but at the end of the day, we are all family. Friends, it is absolutely certain that we will never agree on everything. But this country has dealt some ugly. This country does have issues, and acknowledgement is needed to confront the stains of our past. My friend Starlette Thomas is an author, activist, visual artist, race abolitionist, and podcaster herself. She is an associate editor and the director of the Raceless Gospel initiative at Good Faith Media, which was inspired by her work and witness and is dedicated to leading the didactic dialogues on race and its progeny. The Raceless Gospel aims to empower Christians to speak about the socio-political construct of race and the myriad injustices that intersect in their churches, communities, and country. Friends, you are definitely not going to want to miss this incredible conversation with my friend Starlette Thomas of Raceless Gospel, and here we go. Starlette Thomas, thank you for joining me on the D-Rate the Hate podcast. It is so good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I became familiar with you when my friend Dr. Sheena Mason had actually retweeted some of your stuff. So when I started seeing, some of the little snips, and you do these cool little, I don't know if people call them performance arts or shorts or what they actually are. I know I started checking out a few of them, Starlette, and I became very, very much intrigued, and that's why I reached out, because I dig what you're doing, and so yeah, thank you very much. I am looking forward to hearing more about your work, with the Raceless Gospel and Good Faith Media. So it says there's more to tell. So you know what? Tell me more. Well, first of all, just introduce yourself to the DTH listeners.
Sure.
Tell me who you are, Starlette Thomas.
Sure. So I'm an ordained Baptist minister. Please don't let that fool you or bring any trepidation. There's no judgment here. That's my core calling and conviction, is to cultivate spaces of belovedness where you feel a deep sense of somebodyness. So I lead in with that because persons sometimes get distracted by titles, which is why I always say, call me Star, because that's my name, and that won't change, certainly, that people can give and take away titles at any time. But I hope that we can we can see each other as equals, as next of kin. So I work to do that, to cultivate community in such a way that we can relate to each other, not based on skin or certainly not social coloring, but something deeper, something more intrinsic, something more valuable, something more long lasting. And I believe that race is on its last leg, if I have anything to say about it.
Well, I hope so too. I absolutely hope so. That's one of the things that attracted me so quickly to our mutual friend, Dr. Sheena Mason, and her theory of racelessness is because, and I gained a lot of insight into how that works because before I spoke with her, just like most of my guests, when I speak with them for the first time, I don't know a lot about them because I like to have a genuine conversation and really get to know somebody and who they are. So when she was talking to me about how race was more of a social construct and we were racialized, or people racialized as black and people racialized as white, I began to love it. And I felt myself transforming during that conversation. I hope to do so here too.
Dr. Mason speaks my love language.
Oh, she is incredible.
Anyone who puts race in its place, ensures that it does not come in front of me or talk over me, is a saint in my book. So you can talk about her all day. I am cheesing. If she, I am smiling. I am beaming. If you say her name, I'm going to smile because she's doing good work. I would say she's doing holy work, and that it is a calling. So I'm certainly grateful for her and her work in witness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so with that being said, when I think about, the construct of race and things now, I mean, one of the big things for me, and one of the big things that I've talked about over my time, and I used to believe in, like, we got to have this colorblind society, but then I began to realize it's not the color blindness that really makes sense. It's because the melanin in one's skin isn't really where it's at. That's not what determines who you are versus who I am, right? We are still individuals. We're individual human beings. We're beautiful human beings with an infinite amount of value, each one of us. And so yeah, and I'm sure we could talk about that all day long, Star.
Well, that's a good place to land, though, because I don't judge people based on the social coloring of their skin, as they're not physically colored beige, that is mixed race, black, brown, red, yellow, and white. I believe that people have a soul, and there's a soulish, deep belonging that's unable to be extinguished, that it's eternal, that it's long lasting, that no word, race, or otherwise could take that away from us. So I love that. I try to meet people heart to heart, and certainly soul to soul, and connect in a way that is genuine and authentic. And as always, wanting to make sure that we see each other as we want to be seen.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. So, when you, talked right away is, please don't have any preconceived notions about me being an ordained Baptist minister, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, so that is one of the big things that I also talk about here on the Derate the Hate podcast, is how people, get put in these boxes, and then they get labeled, and then they get put off on a shelf until somebody needs them for something. You know what? But everybody's got a story to tell, and everybody else has blind spots as to who that person is and how that person operates and what that person does. So for me, I want to hear just you and I as friends talking, Star. I want to hear first off.
I'm your friend?
Oh,
absolutely. I've been elevated. I've been promoted, people.
You are absolutely my friend. You are absolutely my friend. Anybody who's out there trying to better the world in which we live. And that's why I start every episode with, welcome back, my friends, to the Derate the Hate podcast. Because people who are listening in, people who are tuning into this episode, Star, people who really want to better the world in which we live are my friends. Those are the people. Those are our people.
That's right.
It don't matter about color. It don't matter about political affiliation. It does not matter about man, woman, whatever the case may be. If you are a human being out there to better the world in which we live, you are my friend. So with that said, the raceless gospel, your passion, your work, your podcast, the raceless gospel. Tell me, Star, what is that, and what got you started in that? I know you've been doing it for quite some time.
So it's my magnum opus. It's what Howard Thurman would call my working papers. And those words, it came to me. It came from scripture in my tradition, New Testament, or Christian scripture in Galatians chapter 3, verses 27 and 28, where Paul says to baptize believers that there's neither Jew nor Greek, neither bond nor free, neither male nor female, for all are one in Christ Jesus. And so that got me questioning race and its false binaries, its oppositional identities, its hierarchy, its color-coded caste system. And it just went from there. And once I realized that I could race less, that I didn't have to live in competition with other people, man, was that freeing. And then to hear other people coming from other institutions and other angles, it further let me know that it was a calling, because everyone was hearing the same thing, which was let's round this up. Let's get everybody together. Let's call everyone friends and next of kin, because there's a better world coming. And so for me, it has been an affirmation to do this work. And I try to say it as often as I can. I think it's the only thing that I'm supposed to say. I feel like it's my message. It's the only thing I want to talk about forever and ever. Amen. So to be on this podcast or to cross paths with Dr. Sheena Mason, and to know that she's doing some of that she has a similar witness in stripping race of its authority, so that we can live into our most authentic and free selves, and that we're all talking about this liberative speech that gets us outside of the confines of flesh and the ways in which society will capitalize on our divisions. Oh, I'm here for that. I'm here for that every day of the week.
Yeah, and you talk about how freeing that is to free yourself from somebody else's, the box that somebody else put you in, the label that somebody else has labeled you with, just that freeing thing, and how that brings freedom to you and your soul, and then being able to find that kinship with others who believe in that same way, and then bringing your testimony to them and hearing their testimony. It's a very freeing thing, right? Yeah.
To know that we're not divided, that I don't have to show up. I can just show up as myself, and whatever that means, in the fullest way that I can be, and that there's nothing offensive about it, or that I'm not coming into an antagonistic encounter because of these racialized realities, that I'm not living in opposition to someone, that is not an us and a them. You know how exhausting it is to fight against someone just to belong. And so now that I know that I belong to myself in the deepest and truest way, and that there's a place in me that race can't get to, oh, we can have a time. We can talk all day, because I don't feel as if anyone is over me and looking down on me, because I've stripped race of its power, of its authority. And so we're all on an equal level. I can see everybody eye to eye.
Right. Yeah. That color coded caste system has done nobody any favors throughout time. And it's just an ugly thing. So just so I better understand, and so the listeners understand. So what is, so you got the good faith, you got the Raceless Gospel. That's your podcast, right? But then you also do a lot of writing for Good Faith Media.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Good Faith Media and what that is, because that's something I'm probably even less familiar with than you, because I like I said, I've seen your snips on Twitter and the things that those little recordings. But I haven't had an opportunity yet, Starlette, to read a lot of what you've written. I did read one of your articles, and I want to talk about that afterwards. But tell me a little bit about Good Faith Media.
Good Faith Media is a hub. We provide reflections and resources at the intersection of faith and culture. And so we write regularly about what's going on Main Street and on my street. So whatever resonates in the news or around my neighborhood, that's what we talk about. And we try to bring people along for the conversation and for the ride, and certainly bring everybody together. Because we feel like there's always more to tell, that there's something more to what is happening, and that the conversation is not over, that we can keep talking, no matter how divided, and no matter how plentiful our divisions, that if we can just keep talking and talking this thing out, that eventually we'll walk together.
Right. No, that's absolutely right. And you mentioned something a little bit ago there about the us versus them mentality and how exhausting that is. And that's something that I've talked about with so many people. I mean, one of the biggest things that I do with this podcast, Star, is work in the depolarization space, right? My favorite organization on the planet, Braver Angels, is something I am so passionate about, because I do believe that polarization and that divide, that chasm, or multiple chasms within our country that have developed, if we don't mend those chasms, if we don't bridge that divide, we are going to be in much worse shape, maybe worse shape than we've ever been in as a country since we were formed, right? Mm-hmm. So that us versus them mentality that tends to widen those gaps. It further tears at the fabric of this nation. So that is something that is so ugly. It's something I'm very passionate about trying to fix. It's why I do so much work, with Braver Angels, having conversations. And that's what like I said, that's what I do with this podcast, having those conversations, whether it's with people I agree with or disagree with, whether it's people from all walks of life, people from all over the planet. Actually, I've had people from several different continents on here, and having conversations with people, just because I believe that is the quickest way that we, in the most sure way that we can rebuild our country, bridge that divide, stop the tears and repair the tears in the fabric of our nation. So talk to me a little bit about, now I read this article that, I don't know, did that come out this week or maybe, yeah, I think it came out recently. The one that says America is not becoming more divided.
It's something I hear often in conversation, that America is becoming more divided. And my argument is that, well, it was divided at its founding. That mm-hmm. with the presence of slavery, before there were red and blue states, they were free and slave states. And so we can't jump, skip, and hop over that history. This is what America has been. And if we're going to move past it, if we're going to heal from it, then we've got to acknowledge that. Any conversation that doesn't is not a fruitful one. And so when I hear people say it's becoming more divided without acknowledging the history of its divisions and the ways in which it has divided itself based on race and colonial conquest and capitalism, well, then we're not going to go very far. And that takes guts, that takes courage, that takes an unguarded presentation and demeanor, that we drop the guard down and let the truth do what the truth will do. And sometimes it will undo us. And I know that's frightening. This is the work. I don't want to do anything that is not genuine and that does not lead me to my authentic and best self. I want to be the best expression of myself, and you can't fix a lie.
Yeah. No, that's right. No, that's right. And yeah, I think anybody who denies that there was serious stains on this country's past, they're either lying to themselves or lying to others, but one way or another, it's not true. I mean, there are serious stains in this country's past, and you're right. In order to move forward and make the country what it certainly has the potential to be, we have to acknowledge all of its faults. One of the things that we have to do, I mean, I talk a lot about individualism, personal accountability, personal responsibility. The only way that I as an individual can make my life better, make me better, is to acknowledge what I've done wrong in my past, take my mistakes, learn from my mistakes. And that begins with acknowledgement. That begins with saying, yes, I've done this wrong. I've lived through this mistake. I've worked through it, but that is not a life sentence.
That's right.
This is a part of my past that I have to work through.
That's right.
The first part of working through that is acknowledgement. Once I've acknowledged it, I can learn from it. And then I need to, move on with some type of forgiveness. One of the, I just finished the book by Desmond Tutu and Umpo Tutu called The Book of Forgiveness. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever had the experience to be, just the words that come out of that book are just absolutely incredible. And Desmond Tutu and Umpo Tutu, talking about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and how that related to the South African apartheid and things like that. I got goosebumps right now, just kind of reliving it. But one of the things that they talk about in there is how each of us, the only way that we as individuals can free ourselves from our past is to acknowledge that and then forgive that. Forgiveness is the ticket to get beyond a past that we can no longer do anything about. So when I think about that, and then I think about the United States of America, the country that I love the most. Obviously, I'm an American. I was born here. It's I've been here my whole life, and this country to me presents the greatest opportunity for everybody of all races, genders, classes, whatever. The poorest among us in the United States are among the greatest, have the greatest opportunities out of anybody in the world, and so I look at this country, but then I agree with you 100%. We have to look at this country's past. We have to look at it. We have to examine it. We have to figure out where we went wrong. We have to acknowledge it and then work through that in some type of forgiveness. Tell me what you think about that.
Well, in my faith tradition, we call it confession, and we haven't done a good job of that. We have our political brothers and sisters who are undoing it now, and you just can't reconcile with a lie. Mm-hmm. James Baldwin says, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Nice.
And so, I adore Desmond Tutu. One of my favorite books is No Future Without Forgiveness. But if you can't confess what you've done, then how do you get to forgiveness? If you're still lying about what you've done, if you can't admit what you've done, if you can't admit who you are or have been, what are we forgiving? If you've done nothing wrong, if your hands are clean, if everything is well, if you are without spot, blemish, or wrinkle, if you are perfection, and if you can do nothing wrong, if no one can say anything to you or be critical of you, lest they be labeled less patriotic. And James Baldwin talks about that also. He talks about it. He says, I criticize America the way I do because I love it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's because I love it that I criticize it. It's because I want to see it, because it has made these promises. And I believe that it can be these things. But you're not going to lie to me. You're not going to lie to me. You're not going to oppress and then say, oh, let's just put a bandage on it. I'm sorry. You have to make reparation. You have to repair the damage one way or another. I think what was most disheartening to me is learning that the last remaining survivors of the Tulsa massacre will receive no reparations. And the argument for slavery is that, nobody's alive that was affected by it. But now you got the last 3 survivors of the Tulsa race massacre. And we know what happened. You have the details, you have the pictures, you have the testimonies, and you choose not to do anything about it. Well, in my faith tradition, that would make you a hypocrite. So I don't have too many words for people who make arguments against reparations when you have opportunities to make amends and you don't. And you make every excuse not to right or wrong. You can't there's nothing to forgive there. You have not done the work, especially when that level of violence is enacted upon a community. And it's always, it seems at least to me, that community is asked to forgive. What are we asking those who are enacting the violence to do? To change, maybe? To make reparation, to repair the damage, to confess, to say that you've done it. Instead, we give monuments. Our dear brother Emmett Till will get a monument, but Carolyn Bryant, who we knew, lied. She said she lied. Well, she died and never saw a day in jail. Well, what are we going to forgive about that? There's no justice.
Right. Yeah. No. And that is ugly. I mean, those types of things are very ugly, and I would agree with you. And how do we then seek justice? And I just have to ask the question. Yeah. So that's another thing that Desmond Tutu talks about in that, right? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people from our past that will never in this lifetime be held to account in this earthly world for the evils that they have done, for the wrong that they have done. So my question for you, Star, then is how would you propose what would you like to see? Because obviously there's things that we will never get as a confession from people. There are so many things in this world, so many injustices in this world that nobody will ever confess to, and nobody will ever, as you said, put in the work, right? Put in the work to try and seek forgiveness. Yeah. How would you? And this actually reminds me of a conversation I had with a young man named Chris Singleton. Chris Singleton was an incredible. I don't know if you're familiar with him. His mother was killed in the Mother Emanuel church shooting in North Carolina back in the day. His mother was one of the people shot by Dylan Roof, the white supremacist who was looking to start a race war. That young man that evil young man will never confess. I don't believe he will, but Chris Singleton isn't looking for confession from him. He's not looking for a profession of forgiveness or a hope of forgiveness from the people that he did harm to. But Chris Singleton, in order to move on beyond that, had to forgive his mother's killer and move on. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible story, but
it's not new.
It's not new.
I make demands upon people who enact violence. I think it should go. The responsibility goes both ways. And I think if Germany can do it, if Germany can do it, if South Africa can do it, if America is going to claim to be the greatest nation in the world, then it needs to do it. Can't keep asking victims to do the hard work, because if you're not changing the conditions in which that violence occurs, or which it is justified, and that it continues to happen over time, then we're just going to continue to forgive. And you're going to continue to create victims. So it's as if we're justifying the suffering of the victim. Like you're just going to have to suffer through it. We're not changing the condition for them at all. But we are placing this high expectation. I was there last year. The bullets are still in the church,
in the Mother Emanuel Church,
still on the floor. And so we cannot expect people to hold that kind of suffering over hundreds of years with no reconciliation of the facts. It's unfair, it's unbalanced, unjust. And if we're all going together, then we've got to hold everybody accountable, not just victims to forgive, but perpetrators to confess. You got to hold both parties at an equal standard of behavior and expectation, no matter what they've done. And it continues to happen. So for me, I would ask that we hold them accountable. Again, if Germany can, and they're still paying reparations. Germany is still making reparations today, still paying health insurance. If South Africa can do it, then America needs to do it. We're great. Prove it. Prove it.
Yeah. No,
You're a leader. Prove it. Because that's what leaders do. Leaders take accountability. Leaders take responsibility. Leaders don't make excuses. Leaders don't let people off the hook. Leaders are just. Leaders are honorable. Leaders lead by example. And so if you're going to ask victims to be their better selves and do what is almost impossible to do, damn it, we've got to ask other people who systemically and historically have perpetuated violence against minoritized and oppressed groups. You can't just be picking on people just because they're weak. As a Christian, and I want to call, and there's a lot of Christians who enact this violence. It's Christians who own slaves. It's Christians who raped people. It's Christians who are going and shooting up churches. It's Christians. And so as a Christian, I hold them responsible. That same faith that tells me that I should love you. That boomerangs back to you as well. You're supposed to love me as well, because I am your sister, your brother, your next of kin. I am your sibling. And I'm not going to let you off the hook, because we confess the same. We confess the same confession. We belong to the same body, and that's the body of Christ. Specifically for Christians. Now, I can't talk about. I can say in a humanistic kind of way, kumbaya, let's all come together. But specifically for Christians who target Christian people, who kill Christian people, you can't do that. You can't call yourself and then say you're a Christian nation or you want a Christian. You can't do that. You can't kill people in Jesus' name. You can't do that. That sounds like the Crusades.
And one of the things that I've always said, and I am a Christian, and one of the things that I've always said is one of the greatest evils that any human being can do is to do evil in the name of Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that is one of the 10 commandments. People say, can't take the Lord's name in vain. That's not necessarily the right translation, as I understand that translation from the people that I have. I will never. People say I preach, but I don't preach that way. But the one thing is it's not necessarily don't take the Lord's name in vain. So, if you kick the bed, kick the corner post of your bed when you're walking through to get up at night or something, and you say, that is not what that commandment's talking about. That commandment is do not do evil in the name of the Lord. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. They don't realize that. And one of the greatest evils that any human being can ever perpetrate upon another is to enslave them, to take their individuality, their bodily autonomy, take their whatever it is. One of the greatest evils that you can do is to take somebody else, take away their freedom in an unjust way. And so, yeah, I so much of what we are talking about here, Star, is we are on the same page on many things. So, maybe some of those to a different degree, but that's what the great thing about these conversations is we don't have to agree 100% to be brothers and sisters here on this podcast.
No family agrees 100% of the time. Have you been around a dinner table?
No, that is absolutely right. That is absolutely right.
Yeah.
So talk to me. Let's kind of get back to your podcast and your work with the raceless gospel. Tell me, what is the biggest thing that you have learned and you have taken away? I mean, obviously you are somebody who knows an awful lot about the Bible, Christianity. You're ordained. You have this incredible knowledge of Christianity, and then you've also been able to look at the downfalls of Christianity and where so many have fallen short in Christianity. Tell me, what is the biggest thing that you have found out? Because so many people in this world have just fallen short, not necessarily just as Christians, but as human beings. And what is the biggest takeaway that you have found, Star, in your work with the raceless gospel?
First, that all it takes is a word. That we can change the world by changing the ways in which we use words, and that words are as holy as we want them to be. We can make them as fleshly and as carnal as we need them to be, or we can use words to elevate ourselves. It's word work. It's the ways in which we speak about each other and about the world around us, that we can create another world, and that we have a creative feature on the tip of our tongues. All we need to do is change the way we talk about each other. But I think that first starts with how we talk about ourselves, how we view ourselves, back to that individuality and individual responsibility. And I think that first confession begins with, I am somebody. I am somebody, independent of who you are or who you think I am, independent of anything that I bring to the table. I am somebody. I think that's really, really, really important. And I travel with the words of James Baldwin, who said, those who say it can't be done are usually interrupted by others doing it.
That is right.
It's easy to say it can't be done. Easy. Okay, it can't. But it can't be done because we're not doing it. Do it. Oh, it's been 400 years. Okay. Today's a new day. It's a new year. Yep. It's a new generation with new dreams and new visions. And I can see something around the corner. I don't think it's happenstance that you and I and Dr. Sheena Mason and so many others are having this conversation, who have this drive, this calling, this conviction, whatever you would like to call it, this predilection to talk about the ways in which we can depolarize and bring everybody along to each other, even if you don't agree, because we're going to fuss and fight. But at the end of the day, we're family. I think that says something about the sound of the genuine that is present. Howard Thurman calls it the sound of the genuine, that we're all hearing something very genuine that can't be questioned. This is an impossible happening that you and I would connect in this way.
Right.
But the fact that it has lets me know that something larger is at work, that somebody's up to something.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think we're all put in this place or in the places that we are by the Lord with a plan, and that's just my belief as a Christian is we all get put in certain places for a reason. We all do what we do. We are called. Some of us are called to do big things. Some of us are called to do nothing. But we all have infinite value. Like you said, talked to my friend Reggie Wilson several times about the Human Value Initiative and how we all have this infinite value. And there's only one of you, Starlette Thomas. There's only one of me, Wilk. We have this infinite value because we are so rare, each one of us. But there's so much that each one of us can do. There's so much that we have the possibility to do. Some of us are called to do big things. Some of us are just called to be support structure. Some of us are just called to sit there and listen. We all have things that we can do, but there is an incredible hunger, Star, for this depolarization thing. There's an incredible hunger out there for people to bring us together. There are some groups of us that have never been together. There are some people out there that says it's impossible for this group and this group to get along. It's impossible for people that think that way to sit in a room and think with people who think that way.
That's right.
It cannot happen. You know what? But it has to happen.
That's right.
Whether it happens within our lifetime or not, I don't know. But I'm going to keep on working to make
That's right.
happen. You know, because I think at the end of the day, there are people that are going to look back on this time in history and ask, what did you do, or what have you done, or what did that person do, or could they have done to make that difference? And I don't know, I don't know what kind of legacy that I'm going to leave, or if a lot of what I say or do is going to make a big difference or move the needle in some grand way. But by damn, I'm going to try, and I'm going to keep on putting forth the work to make that happen. Now, like I said, it doesn't matter if we agree on everything or nothing, but the fact of the matter is, Star, we can sit here and we can have this conversation. We can have it in a civil way, and whether I change your mind or anything, or you change my mind on anything, is not the end game in this conversation. The end game is showing people that the conversation can happen.
I'm smiling so hard. I have such joy. It just makes me feel really good to hear you talk. You are preaching, sir. At least you're speaking to my soul. You're singing my song. I don't know about others, but it certainly resonates with me. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to have conversation. I don't want to die a stranger to myself, and I certainly don't want to leave any strangers on the earth. I want to know as many people as possible, not in the stereotypical ways and the categorical ways that race suggests I should, but I want to know people intimately and intrinsically in the ways that they want to be known. And I think conversations like this make that happen. So I'm deeply grateful. Deeply grateful.
You know what? I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing with the Raceless Gospel. I'm incredibly grateful that we've got our mutual friend, Dr. Sheena Mason.
That's right.
And, I believe she told me you actually did I read this right? Because I think she sent me an email and said that you are actually writing the foreword of.
I was getting ready to plug the book, sir. She has a book coming out.
Plug away, Starlette. Tell me about it. Tell me about this. This
Feel
foreword.
too much, but if you can order it. It's available for pre-order wherever you get your books. It's titled "The Raceless Anti-Racist: Why Ending Race is the Future of Anti-Racism," and there's a foreword written by yours truly. Go out, pre-order the book wherever books are sold. It'll be good for your soul. It'll be good. It'll be good for community.
It is so good. I mean, everything. Anytime we get to hear an opportunity to hear Dr. Sheena Mason speak, or if we get an opportunity to hear Starlette Thomas speak, it's a treat for the world, and I thank you for it. So at Raceless Gospel is your handle on Twitter. And tell me, what's your website? I'm sorry. Well, Good Faith Media, obviously, goodfaithmedia.org.
Yeah, goodfaithmedia.com, theracelessgospel.com, everywhere at Raceless Gospel. You'll find me there.
Well, I am so grateful for you, Starlette. Thank you so much for joining me on the Derate the Hate podcast. I look forward to more conversations in the future. I am proud to call you a friend of mine. And let's just keep on doing what we do.
That's right. Thank you.
Friends, if there's anything in this episode that provided exceptional value to you, please make sure to hit that share button. Share it with your friends, share it far and wide. And of course, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe right from our website so you can get the Derate the Hate podcast sent to your email inbox every week. So this is Wilk wrapping up for the week, saying get out there, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything that you've got, and remember it's up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. If there is something that you would like to share with me, you can catch me on most social media platforms, or you can email me directly, wilk@wilksworld.com. With that, my friends, I am going to back on out of here, and we will catch you next week. Take care.